Today, we're very honored to have you today on the program LatinoGraduate.net Role Model as Ambassador James Sweeney, who I can see now and I understand that your responsibility was over the entire world and handling issues of nuclear armament, the dangers of it, and also bringing down that danger. So I want to thank you very much, sir, for bringing the whole world to a safer place today.
Well, I thank you very much, Armando, for having me. It's my pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much.
And I think that it's important to realize that it's a very important area for not only our country but for the world. The impact of weapons of mass destruction is very, very important to the world. As you know, today it's a very important issue with the situation in Iraq and the Middle East and what have you. But let me just say that one of the key ingredients in all this, and I have learned this through experience having worked at very high levels in the federal government.
In many countries.
In many countries as well. Dealing with the international community is very important. But also in the White House, is that you have to have management and people skills.
People skills.
That's very, very important. For us engineers, that's hard. Engineers as a rule are not good managers and good people that have people skills. But it can be done. What we have to do is institute knowledge in the fact of our scientists and engineers, that they have to get training and education to develop their skills, their management skills, their people skills, in the area of human relations, in the handling of conflict, in the organizational structure of an organization to be able to develop a good, viable organizational structure. Those are very important elements, and many others, of course. But those are the key ingredients. And you can pick that up by going to a university or through seminars on organizational skills, on people skills, how to handle conflict and resolve issues, and also how to handle people in general. I think that it's very important that we show them respect, and they will in turn develop and do what is right. We have to trust our people. Once you develop them, train them, bring them in, believe in them, and let them do their job.
Sometimes students are taking classes or they're consider themselves biologists, and the school says, no, you also have to take philosophy, look at the psychology, look at the background, as you mentioned, human philosophy, women's studies.
Yeah.
And people say, well, wait a minute, I'm not majoring in that. I'm majoring in my field of i.e. biology. Why would I need that other one? So what I'm hearing you say is that really you need the dynamics of understanding how to get along with humans.
One needs to diversify. In order to be successful in the competitive environment that we're in, the global economy that we exist today, we have to learn not only how to deal with people, take human relations courses, take even language courses. It's important that we learn many languages. I know in my travels, especially in Europe, you have people in that part of the world that speak 3 and sometimes 4 languages proficiently. And in fact, as I was told by several people at hotels and restaurants, that they are required to speak at least 3 languages in order to work at a hotel or a restaurant. Now, we need to do more of that in the United States. We need to learn to communicate, because communication is very important. Mm-hmm. In order to discuss very sensitive and technical issues with people, or even economic or whatever issues, political issues, one needs to be able to communicate very well. And I have found that if you're able to communicate in their language, it opens doors that if you don't, they remain closed. I, for one, was fortunate to have learned Spanish at an early age. My mother taught me when I was just un niño. And I use that in my dealings with Mexico, Central, and Latin America. When I walked into a room and talked in Spanish, buenos días, señores, tengo mucho gusto estar aquí con ustedes. Tengo un negocio que quiero hablar con ustedes, es muy importante. And on. You speak in their language and they accept you. And you're able to communicate and you're more effective. And that's one of the important things. In the management of people, it's important to understand what you have to do. Everyone in a working environment is interested in improving themselves. So you have to be able to be skilled, to develop their skills, to have the understanding that they must be trained in certain areas in order to be proficient, and you must initiate that. A lot of managers don't do that, don't train their staff.
They sort of allow it to happen if it happens by accident.
Exactly.
But it really needs to be controlled.
It needs to be controlled, and management needs to take the initiative to get them into training classes, into seminars, and so on, to improve them where they're deficient in, or where there's gaps in their training, and then encourage them to attend university training courses and what have you. This is the most important element. Education is tremendously important. In any successful person, you have to have the education, the background. And the more you learn about a specific area, the more valuable you are to your company or the government agency you're with.
So, being that the United States is a world-involved power, there is really nothing that we can say is not needed.
Exactly. I think in today's environment, we have a global economy.
Yes.
We're competing with different countries for products, for the development of things, commercially. And so we have to be able to understand that and be able to be competitive. And in order to do that, one has to have some understanding of their needs, their political, their economic structure, and
Their
the
psyche,
dynamics.
just their whole cultural psyche.
The cultural, that's very important. The cultural aspects, exactly. That's very important. And if you don't understand that, then you can't deal with them because you don't understand what those people are, what is important to them.
Right. A while back in our interview, you mentioned about the needs for people to, develop their human relations aspects. We also talked about the management, how they evolve, and all that aspects. I'm going to ask you to address the students of the future in high school and in college. Question now stands: what do they really need to learn to be truly prepared for the 21st century?
Okay. Well, I think it depends on what their
Major.
objective in life is. If they want to go into strictly a technical field, like physics, chemistry, biology, those kinds of fields, then I think, and they want to or become a doctor of some kind or get a PhD and teach, then they need to maybe concentrate in that field. But they also need, because we live in a very diverse world, they need to learn how to handle people of all kinds, of all colors. They need to be able to address their needs, they be able to understand their needs, and be able to take care of their needs. So you need the liberal arts kinds of things. You need to study philosophy, maybe human relations, of course, and history. You need to understand a little bit of history. So
World culture, I pick up
so
from
you
you.
understand what the issues are, what the world culture is. And a lot of them don't. And we have to instill in them that that's important.
You mean they can graduate from college without getting all that exposure?
I don't think so. I don't think now. I think most colleges provide a very diverse background, certainly in the initial years, the first 2 years. But I think that as you go further in your studies, you need to continue to get more advanced courses in those areas. People skills are very important if you're going to get into management. Now let me talk about if you're going into management. Technical field, we still with the technical area. But if you're going into a management area, you want to be a manager of some kind. Then
Both in the public or private sector?
Public or private, same thing. You need to take a lot of courses on management 101, organizational theory, human relations, public speaking. You need to be able to articulate. One of the problems that we have in the engineering profession and in the scientific world is that we cannot communicate effectively.
In small groups is fine, one-to-one, but not in large groups.
Technical people tend to communicate in very complex and very terms that the average person doesn't understand, you see. They need to learn to be able to articulate it in simple terms that the average person can understand. I think that's one of the drawbacks of technical people. They have to improve their communication skills.
Where is the greatest need? There are many areas. You've seen many areas, both culturally, socially. You've mentioned a lot of problems in the world. But where do you see a need? More students should go into sciences, management, more into the cultural affairs. Is there opportunity in the diplomatic corps, etc.?
Well, being a technical person, I'm obviously biased in that direction. But I think that we have a tremendous shortage of technical people today, and that's been spelled out by statistics.
Right.
The danger in that is that we lose our technology edge. Today, America has a strong technology edge over countries in the world.
In the developmental stage, right?
Right. Developmental stage and innovative stage, innovative and research here. If we lose that edge to the Asian community, the Asian world, China and Japan, their students for some reason have a very high aptitude in science and math. And if they graduate more engineers, India, of course, now is graduating a lot of technical people, and they're bringing software technology, computer technology, which is the wave of the future. They're coming in and taking the jobs that normally Americans would take. That's an issue that we need to address. So I think we need to concentrate more in science and math. And I think that's borne out by some of the initiatives that have been proposed by the president and others in the administration. We need more scientists and engineers today because India, China, Japan, and some of the European countries are outproducing us in that area. And we may lose the technical edge. And in the future, the new developments, the new, whatever they are, laser technology, nanotechnology, computer technology, will be conducted in other countries, and we will be the country that will service them and take care of them, and not the innovators.
Wow.
And that will be an economic loss to the United States.
In closing, there's no closure to this because your background is so intense. But in closing the show, what is your advice to Latino students and the Latino community and the Latino leadership?
Well, I think that I've always said this. In fact, I was honored when I was in Washington to have been asked by the chairman of the school board in my old high school to come back to my high school and to address the students and to give them advice on what they need to do to succeed in life. And I can remember the things that I mentioned at that time, which I think are still apply. Number one, hard work. You have to work hard at whatever you do. In your studies, in your work, once you get out of school, you have to work hard to develop a good work ethic. Perseverance. You have to persevere. You're going to have a lot of setbacks in life, and you have to be able to bounce back. My coach used to tell us this: when you get beat, you don't stick your head in the sand. You come out fighting twice as hard, and you prevail the second time. So we have to learn that in life. I feel very strongly that sports teaches you a lot about life, because there's a lot of highs and lows in sports. You lose and you win and stuff, and you got to still bounce back and do it. And those people that are able to excel in adversity and bounce back are the leaders of the future. Then the other thing that is important also besides perseverance is dedication. It's very, very important for you to be dedicated to what your profession is. If you're a teacher, you have to be dedicated to that profession and do it to the best of your ability. If you're a lawyer, you have to do it to your best ability. As a scientist or engineer, best of your ability. You have to be dedicated and work towards it. And that's where you have to prepare yourself. Make sure that you are one of the best.
Be at the top of your field.
So hard work, perseverance, and dedication. Those are the three words I like to throw out as important in the future to succeed.
And to the Latino leadership of the nation, your recommendations to us?
I think that the Latino, let's face it, we have tremendous opportunity for Latinos. We are the growing minority group in the world, in the United States today, and that's great because we have a tremendous opportunity. To the Latino leadership, we need to be more conscious of the needs of our Hispanic brothers and sisters. We need to help them. We need to help them to develop their skills so that they can move up and take our place.
Yes.
And because, just because we made it doesn't mean that the rest are going to make it. You have to help them. Everybody needs a helping hand. And I think that to the Hispanic leadership, we have to make sure that our people are properly educated. Education is the key to success. We have to make sure that they have the opportunities, which they don't now in many cases. We have to open the doors to let them in. Because you'll find that once they come in, Hispanics are very productive. They're very intelligent, very bright, very hardworking people. And that's what we need. And in our society, diversity is good. There is strength in diversity. And I think that that's important.
That's a very important message you sent to all of us, to extend our hands to service others,
Yes.
especially you said the future leaders, but also to be very open-minded at all times.
Exactly.
I want to thank you, sir, very much for taking your valuable
it's a
time.
real pleasure.
For being with us here
Thank you,
today.
Mr. Sanchez.
And thank you, Ambassador James Sweeney, and may you continue many years of fruitful service and leadership in our community.
Well, I thank you very much.
Thank you.